Welcome to the fantasy audiobook, Metropolis. I am a full-time professional, attracting worldwide attention. Chapter 21. There was a long queue outside the door. All came from hearing the sound, wanting to taste Chen Zhan's glowing egg fried rice, which is popular on Weibo. The popularity of this hot search is higher than Chen Zhan imagined. The publicity effect brought to the hotel also exceeded his expectations. Zhang Quilin and his wife had just opened the door in the morning when a group of people swarmed in from the door. They were so scared that he thought they had encountered a bad guy and robbed them. But then I thought about it, this little broken hotel, who can't even want to grab it? When a group of customers took up their seats, they realized that they were here for breakfast. In addition, if you call the name, you have to eat egg fried rice, which must be made by Chen Zhan, and nothing else. This made Li Amin depressed for a while. The program group, the night hosts Wu Tong and Zhang Ting, looked surprised at this scene. Chen Zhan's popularity is really high. In the early morning, so many people could line up to eat egg fried rice. Everyone wants to try something new. If I have time, I also want to try it. How does this egg fried rice taste? Since Chen Zhan's egg fried rice was made yesterday, the observers of the program group have already had the urge to eat it once. Although watching the live broadcast, the presentation of this egg fried rice is very good, but without tasting it in person, there is still no way to imagine how delicious this egg fried rice is. Strong. Chen Jie is so strong. There must be 60 or 70 people in this line. I feel that Brother Chen doesn't have to take part in the following challenges. Let's just open the restaurant on the spot. I will definitely be there every day. Indeed, with this cooking skill, a monthly salary of over 10,000 is absolutely easy. Curious how much Chen Jie can achieve in the final score. Blind guess 100 points. 100 points is an exaggeration. After all, it is based on three-party scoring. It is almost impossible to get a full score with this mechanism. Chen Zhan passed through the crowd and quickly entered the hotel under the urging of customers in the line. Xiao Chen, here comes. Zhang Quilin smiled bitterly. They are all waiting to eat your egg fried rice. I will do it now. Have you had breakfast? No hurry, eat later. Then I will let Uncle Li give you a bowl of noodles. Okay. Chen Zhan came directly to the back kitchen. Li Amin was preparing the egg fried rice. Seeing him coming, he said, "You fry first, and I will prepare the side dishes." Looking at this posture, it is estimated that there will be 2 or 3 in the morning. Hundreds of people. Chen Zhan gave a hum, washed his hands and put on an apron, which started to fire. The moment he grabbed the iron spoon, he felt that the entire kitchen was under his control. The location of the ingredients, the size of the spoon, and the ratio of eggs, rice, scallions and ham in an egg fried rice, he scanned them into rows of clear data and printed them in his mind. His brain, at this moment, is like a high-precision instrument, which can control the taste of each dish in a precise ratio, so that the color and fragrance of the dish can reach the perfect state. Noisy. The oil pan is hot, and the eggs are poured in. Chen Zhan grabs the iron spoon and stirs it quickly. The iron spoon seems to be alive, pulling the egg slowly in the pan, pulling out a strip of egg strands. Then put in ham and rice, and start to stir fry. The rice is poured into the pot, and you need to use an iron spoon to break it into grains. This is the most error-prone place. I saw that every time Chen Zhan pressed the iron spoon, the lumps of rice were easily broken up. After so many times, a pot of egg fried rice has all been broken up. Then turn on the fire, stir fry for tens of seconds, and add salt. With a quick tick, the amount of salt is just right, not much, not less. Sprinkle the last chives and serve. A pot of 5 pans of egg fried rice. If someone uses an electronic scale to measure at this moment, they will be surprised to find that the weight of each pan of egg fried rice does not exceed 5 grams. So fast. Faster than yesterday. Obviously it's a normal step. It looks simple, but I can't learn it because of Mao. I also fried in the same way as Brother Chen, but the fried rice with eggs is not as beautiful and numb. What went wrong? Looking at the plate of egg fried rice with a faint golden light under the light, everyone complained at the same time. Their appetite was also aroused. For the egg fried rice, 2 things are the most important. One is eggs, and the other is rice. The best eggs are grass eggs, and the best rice is rice that is naturally cooled after being boiled and served for an hour. Of course, if there are better ingredients, it will naturally take a plate of egg fried rice to the next level. But for this kind of small restaurant, Chenzon doesn't have such high demands. You only need to fry the fresh and tender flavor of the egg and blend it with the rice. A fried rice with egg is a good starting point. After Chenzon was promoted to a god-level chef, the egg fried rice made with the recipe of the god-level egg fried rice was different. Look carefully, each grain of rice is wrapped with egg shreds. A grain of rice is wrapped in 3 circles, which ensures the perfect combination of the deliciousness of the egg and the fragrance of the rice. With the addition of the ham and chives, this egg fried rice is made of egg fried rice regardless of its appearance or taste. The extreme that can be achieved. Zhang Quilin took the egg fried rice away, came to the lobby, and placed it in front of the 5 customers who came first. With the appearance of egg fried rice, all customers' eyes were attracted. They sniffed the scent of rice in the air, and watched the glowing egg fried rice, the sounds of drooling one after another. It smells really good. I watched his cooking process, it was very ordinary, but why is it so delicious? Snapped. A young woman took a picture of this exquisite egg fried rice, then took the chopsticks, and said with a sense of ritual, "I'm going to start." After a bite, the woman's big eyes immediately completed the crescent shape, showing a satisfied expression. A good time. The camera faithfully recorded the group of people eating egg fried rice in the restaurant. Their reactions, their expressions, and their compliments were all recorded. More and more people lined up outside the door. By 7 o'clock, there were already more than 100 people in line. Fortunately, this is breakfast, and the egg fried rice is really delicious, so everyone eats it quickly. There were also people who couldn't wait and wanted to leave, but saw the customers who had just finished their meal coming out, and said in a contented tone, "God, it's really delicious. After eating Brother Chen's egg fried rice, I feel that all I have eaten before or it's shit." Is it really that exaggerated? The customer who wanted to leave asked hesitantly. The customer who finished eating said, "Of course, you'll know after a while, it's so delicious, I will come tomorrow." This sentence kept the customers who wanted to leave. It wasn't until 8 o'clock that the customers gradually disappeared. At 8:30, Chenzon finally had time to rest after making the last plate of egg fried rice. Li Amin ordered him a bowl of noodles. The 2 of them sat in the hall while Chenzon ate it. Li Amin looked out the door with a thoughtful expression on his face. Chenzon's cooking skills are so high that he didn't expect it. This is the 3rd day Chenzon came to their store. In just 3 days, with a plate of fried rice with eggs, their shop has been hotly searched, and there are many repeat customers. But the problem also came. Now these guests are all rushing to Chenzon's cooking skills. After waiting for a month, Chenzon left. What should I do? Li Amin is very self-aware, and his cooking skills are not bad, but not bad. To say how high the standard is, it is not that high. He doesn't know how high Chenzon's level is, but he knows that he can't compare to Chenzon. When Chenzon leaves, these repeat customers will gradually stop coming. After all, once the appetite is raised, it is difficult to get used to the dishes he cooks. However, the impact Chenzon has brought to their store this month will definitely make their store's business better than before. However, it is definitely not better than Chenzon's time. So Li Amin was very worried. In fact, he also knows that there is a way to solve it. The easiest is to let Chenzon stay. But why should someone who has this kind of cooking skill stay in your small broken shop? Isn't it fragrant to be independent? Another way is to learn culinary skills with Chenzon. But the problem came again. Why should people teach you? At this moment, a taxi suddenly stopped outside the door. 2 people, 1 man and 1 woman, got out of the car. The man in his 30s is slightly fat, wearing glasses, an orange-yellow short-sleeved t-shirt, and holding a miniature microphone in his hand. The woman held the live broadcast device in her hand and followed the man during the whole process. The man is Yu Huan. He got out of the car and said, "Have you eaten the luminous egg fried rice in the legend?" In the past few days, there has been a hot search on the whole internet. The #1 challenger of Into the Career, Chenzon, who works as a chef in a small restaurant, made a hot search with a plate of fried rice with eggs. Today, I will take everyone to try it. How delicious a bowl of egg fried rice is for 10 yuan. Yu Huan walked towards the store. I lost it. did the small logo come to Jinling today? You actually came to my brother Chen's site. You should have come half an hour earlier, so you can experience what it is like to queue for half an hour. The egg fried rice for 10 yuan is not worthy of your identity. I suggest that the store adjust the price of egg fried rice to 1,000 yuan. Squeak. Yu Huan opened the door and interrupted Li Amin, who was thinking. He got up and asked, "What to eat?" Yu Huan said, "Boss, bring me 2 egg fried rice, which is the kind of egg fried rice that will shine." Okay. Li Amin turned around and said, "Xiao Chen, I will prepare the vegetables first, and come back after you finish." Chen Zan glanced at Yu Huan. He thought it was 2 ordinary diners, but saw the live broadcast equipment in the woman's hands and Yu Huan's constant introduction of the restaurant's environment. He probably guessed that this should be a live broadcast internet celebrity. He didn't care either. 3 or 2 bites, ate the last bit of noodles, wiped his mouth, and walked towards the back kitchen. Wait, is that a small logo? It's really a small logo. He actually came here to visit the store. Who made my brother Chen so popular recently? It is estimated that it won't be long before, and there will be more internet celebrities. The little logo is an internet celebrity with a keen sense of smell. As soon as Chen Zan went on a hot search, he ran over. Other internet celebrities saw the little logo go to Chen Zan's shop to eat, and then they realized afterwards that they could still be so popular. Learned, let's go. Wang Dao didn't think there was any surprise. Their program was very popular. 3 days after the broadcast, it was already ranked in the top 3 at the same time. Like Little Logo, the internet celebrity anchors who deliberately keep up the heat, they are already mentally prepared. Soon, 2 dishes of egg fried rice were brought up and presented in front of the 2 of them. The camera focused on egg fried rice. Yu Huan said on the side, "I have eaten a lot of egg fried rice, and the most expensive one is the seafood and egg fried rice I ate last time, 1 serving. But when it comes to presentation, I really can't find anything comparable to this plate of egg fried rice." He picked up the egg fried rice, observed it again at 360 degrees without blind spots, and suddenly said softly, "It seems that it will really shine. Look carefully, this luminous egg fried rice is actually mainly because of eggs." He beats the eggs into silk, and wraps each grain of rice twice, which makes this plate of egg fried rice look like it glows. Yu Huan observed for 10 seconds, and finally said in surprise, "I have been searching for so long, but I haven't been able to find a piece of untangled rice. This cooking skill is truly amazing. Stop talking, my saliva is almost draining. Hurry up and eat, and taste what it tastes like. 10 yuan a serving, I finally saw at once I could afford it. There is one thing to say, this looks really like it." Yu Huan picked up the chopsticks, put them in his mouth, chewed and savored them carefully. After tasting the tasting, he closed his eyes, and after 7 or 8 seconds, he opened his eyes. At this time, his eyes were a little moist. He looked at the plate of fried rice with eggs in front of him, and suddenly he twitched his nose, his voice was a little choked, "It's delicious, it's delicious." Then, without explaining, I kept eating. After taking 2 bites, tears fell from his eyes. While crying, he ate at the same time. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. A question mark floated across the live broadcast room. The woman who was shooting was also a little dazed, and then asked for a while, "Brother Yu, are you okay?" "It's okay, I'm okay." Yu Huan shook his head, ate, and shed tears. "I just missed home suddenly." Woman. Finally, after eating a plate of egg fried rice, Yu Huan wiped his mouth first, and then wiped his tears. After more than 10 seconds, I calmed down and smiled at the camera. "I just came to the scene just now. I can't stop it. Let everyone see the joke." "What happened just now? Why did you cry suddenly?" "Yeah, there are no signs at all, I was so silly." "Is it impossible? This egg fried rice is so terrible to cry." Yu Huan looked at the empty plate and said, "This plate of egg fried rice is the best egg fried rice I have ever tasted. There is no one. If I were to describe this dish of egg fried rice, there would only be one word: the taste of home. This plate of egg fried rice gave me a taste of home, just like the meal my mother cooked for me when I was a child. Eating egg fried rice, the scenes of my childhood are vivid and so clear." He grabbed the tissue, blew his nose, and said, "I don't know how to describe this plate of fried rice with eggs. I guess this may be the legendary Dao Ggn. When the cooking skills reach the top level, even the simplest ingredients can make the most delicious food. I am very lucky to be able to eat such a delicious egg fried rice today. Special thanks to Chef Chen Zhan. When Chen Zhan's challenge is over, I will definitely give him 10 points. Finally, I strongly recommend everyone to come and eat. It's so delicious. You don't want a small logo to advertise for others, right? Brother Chen still needs to advertise. What's a joke? It turned out to be delicious and crying. I thought I was crying badly. The little logo is absolutely true. This is the first time I saw him eating and crying. This egg fried rice is so charming. In the program group, Wang Dao watched this scene, but they were also speechless in surprise. Chen Zhan's egg fried rice, he and Fu Ying have also eaten it. It's delicious, but crying, it's a bit exaggerated. But looking at the sales of egg fried rice, it seems a little bit different from yesterday. Is today's egg fried rice better? The taste of home, is this egg fried rice really so attractive? I have to eat egg fried rice tomorrow for everything I say. Tomorrow weekend, I will eat too. I could bear it. I can't help being recommended by the little logo. For the first time I saw someone eating and crying covering his face. Little logo cried and finished the egg fried rice. The effect was surprisingly good. After this live video was forwarded to Weibo, it quickly appeared on the hot search. The enthusiasm is so high that even the small logo himself did not expect it. He really showed his true feelings at the time, and he didn't have any acting elements at all. After they finished their meal and paid the money, they left. Li Amin and his wife went to the vegetable market to buy groceries, while Chen Zhan stayed to see the store. He glanced at the prestige value, just didn't know what was going on, and there was another wave of skyrocketing trends. Originally there were only 3 million left, but now it has risen to 5 million. And it didn't mean to stop at all. Chen Zhan looked at the items in the Chef Purchase channel, and the desire to buy suddenly rose, and he just bought it. Congratulations to the host for obtaining God-level carver. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the green pepper and potato shreds recipe. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the mapo tofu recipe. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the fish fragrant pork recipe. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Jinling double smelly recipe. 5 million prestige value, bought a carver, 4 God-level recipes. These 4 dishes are the most common home-cooked dishes on the dinner table. Even if there is no recipe, Chen Zhan can cook very delicious. But when there is a recipe, it is equal to a full range of bonuses. His cooking speed will increase, and he has a more refined understanding of the subtle heat and taste. And carving is purely Chen Zhan's own hobby. In the past, he always watched TV. Those top chefs carved beautiful flowers on winter melons and carrots, or dragons and phoenixes. Now that he also has this opportunity, he will naturally not let it go. At noon, there was another long line outside the restaurant. In this situation, Zhang Quilin and his wife were mixed with joy and sorrow. The good news is that the restaurant's business is so good that it explodes. The worry is that there is not enough manpower. For the customers who came to the restaurant to eat in, Chen Zhan and Li Amin might not be busy, let alone take out. So, after the call to order the takeaway at noon, Zhang Quilin could only apologize to tell them that the restaurant was not staffed enough to deliver the takeaway today. Although the other party regretted it, he had no choice but to accept it. Everyone in the program group looked at the long queue outside the hotel and didn't know what to say. They even felt that Chen Zhan's first professional challenge could be declared over in advance. Do they still need to evaluate this popularity and cooking skills? Worry, it's so terrifying, everyone is queuing up at noon. Give up, don't wait, I think Uncle Li and the others are not enough to make so many tables. I don't understand the psychology of these people, no matter how delicious it is, I won't be in such a long line. That's because you haven't eaten Brother Chen's dishes. Anyway, I ate egg fried rice this morning, so I know what real cooking is. I have time, I must go in line. A long queue outside the restaurant was photographed and posted on the internet. It quickly rushed into hot searches. Looking at it, 5 of the top 10 most searched topics are Chen Zhan related topics. Hot search. Second hot search. Hot search third. Hot search fourth. The fifth hot search. Into the career, the strongest challenger is freshly released. The traffic brought by these 5 microblogs is huge, the data of the program group is steadily increasing, and the number of online users once reached 10 million. In just Chen Zhan's personal live broadcast room, there are more than 5 million online. It can be said that Chen Zhan alone supported the ratings of the entire program group. What's the hot search today? What is this horse riding? Good guy. I'm going to screen good guys. One person accounted for 5 hot searches. This is a hot search to buy, right? My brother Chen needs to buy hot search. Is it really good to be genuine? Brother Chen, a male god who can obviously rely on his looks, but he just relies on his strength. I have booked a ticket, and I will go to Jinling to eat egg fried rice tomorrow. Brother Chen doesn't only make egg fried rice, his other dishes are also delicious. Q. How long does it take to go from obscurity to the internet? Chen Zhan used practical actions to tell everyone that it only took 3 days. Time flies. At 1:10 in the afternoon, Chen Zhan finished the last dish and finally had time to rest. A glance at the prestige value. After only half a day, it has risen to 8 million. This is really awesome. He leaned back on the chair to rest, and randomly selected the favorite recipes from the Chef Purchase channel. Li Amin smoked a cigarette outside, and he was still thinking about what he hadn't finished thinking about in the morning. After smoking a cigarette, he seemed to have decided something, and got up and walked to Chen Zhan. Xiao Chen, I will discuss something with you. Huh? Chen Zhan asked. What's the matter? You come with me. Li Amin walked towards the hall, Chen Zhan followed. I have an ominous hunch. The same unknown. Isn't it? I'm going to raise my salary again. It would be too much to raise wages again. 3 days, it has already been raised twice, so what a special increase. Coming to the hall, Li Amin and Zhang Qilan sat down, and Chen Zhan sat opposite. Seeing that they were a little serious, he became more curious in his heart. Little Chen. Li Amin didn't go around the corner, and said straightforwardly, I want to invite you to be a partner of the hotel. Quote? Chen Zhan was stunned for a few seconds. Partner? Yes. Zhang Qilan said. I chatted with your Uncle Li in the morning, and asked my daughter again. I think this method is feasible. Li Amin said. My daughter means that you directly invest in shares without paying money. If we share the shares, what do you think? Chen Zhan has no objection, but the point is that this kind of partnership system requires a lot of trust in each other. And he gave him half of the shares when he came up. Although the restaurant is not big, it is worth hundreds of thousands. If you really take care of it, and continue to develop according to the current situation, I can't say that there are more, but it is not too difficult to make more than 1 million a year. Wang Dao was surprised at what Li Amin and his wife said. Lin Fei said, is he going to give the hotel shares to Chen Zhan? It's not giving, it's technology investment. Li Lang said, I have to say that they are very smart. Ma Jingyao said, it is indeed very smart, and he is also very decisive in doing things. It has only been 3 days, and with the current influence of Chen Zhan, he dared to make this decision. It is really courageous. Concubine Lin asked, will they not suffer by doing this? Li Lang said, there must be risks, but high risks mean high returns. Before Chen Zhan went to their store, the business of their store was not bad. But after Chen Zhan went, these 3 days, no seats are absent, even one is hard to find. They just did it because of Chen Zhan's influence. As for risks, what are you doing now without risk? You don't want to take risks and want to make money. It's not such a good thing. I was wrong. I thought it was a salary increase, but they delivered it directly to the store. Comparing people to people really makes me wonder if I am a human being. I don't know if Brother Chen is not interested in men. I can. Don't look at Brother Chen, go to see other challengers to regain some confidence. Brother, wait for me, I will go too. Uncle Li, have you considered it clearly? Chen Zhan asked. Li Amin nodded. Think clearly. If you don't know how to cook, it can be seen by repeat customers in the past 2 days. Give you shares, in fact, I hope you can stay, otherwise, when you leave, these repeat customers will be gone. Chen Zhan shook his head. I can't stay. Li Amin was startled, and heard Chen Zhan continue to say, but I can tell you how to make a dish." These words made Li Amin tremble with excitement. He even asked with some uncertainty, Can I?" "Yes," Chen Zan said with a smile. "Uncle Li, you have a solid foundation, mainly due to the lack of heat and some details." As a god-level chef, he can naturally clearly see the level of Li Amin's culinary skills, and also know how to improve his culinary skills in a short period of time. What's more, he still has so many recipes. When the same dish is cooked by different people, the order will be different. What Chen Zan can guarantee is that as long as Li Amin cooks according to the order and rhythm of his recipe, even if the taste is not on par with himself, he will definitely have the standard of a 5-star hotel. And cooking makes perfect. As he continues to cook, his cooking skills will naturally improve. In the end, the two parties decided that Chen Zan would invest in technology and account for 50% of the shares. However, 1 month later, when the challenge is over, he will also leave. Before that, he would teach him all the recipes he bought. What Chen Zan didn't know was that these recipes alone would be regarded as treasures if they were seen by the chef of a 5-star hotel or the chef of a state banquet. For top chefs, the value of recipes is far above everything. The contract was signed in the afternoon and was delivered by Li Amin's daughter. His daughter is studying law, and this is the first time Chen Zan has contact with his daughter. A very beautiful girl, she is decent and gentle, with the gentleness of a Jiangnan woman. When he signed his name on the contract, it meant that from now on, half of this restaurant belonged to Chen Zan. When the hotel is on track, Chen Zan can almost lie down and make money. 50% of the shares. I admit, I am jealous. 3 days, 2 salary increases, half of the shares were taken. If I hadn't been watching it all the time, I really don't believe this is true. I just watched it all the way, and I found it a bit unreal. I announce that Brother Chen's first professional challenge will end early. Netizens were shocked by the shares that were suddenly given out. Wang Dao and the others were also amazed. Among the 100 challengers, Chen Zan is so dazzling in comparison. And the other 99 people, in his comparison, there was no slag left. Shares. Wang Dao smiled bitterly. I think it's impossible to justify not giving full marks when we give Chen Zan a score. A few people deeply agree. In this case, how do they score low? There is no reason at all. The news of Chen Zan's acquisition of shares was also spread to the internet for the first time, and was raged by discussions, and rushed into hot searches at a terrifying speed. Into the profession, the first person, challenge the third day, get 50% of the shares. Worry, is this the script? It looks a bit fake. Although I think it's fake, it seems to be true. How can it be a script? If you want to say that the shares are a script, does it mean that Brother Chen's cooking skills are also fake? Isn't that good enough? Brother Chen's cooking skills are true, and the feedback from those customers is also true, and even the small logo is highly recommended. This thing cannot be faked. After Chen Zan signed the contract, he found that his reputation value was skyrocketing. Leaning on the chair, I opened Weibo and glanced at it. As expected, it was because I took the shares that caused heated discussions on the internet. He smiled. How could this kind of thing be a script? Moreover, half of the shares in this hotel are actually not much. According to the current value of the hotel, 50% of the shares are worth 200,000 or 300,000. Chen Zan does not have much money now, but his current popularity can be turned into money. It is only a matter of time. The reason why he agreed to Li Amin, on the one hand, the money is easy to make. On the other hand, Li Amin and his wife are indeed good people, and he is willing to cooperate with each other. If the person is not good enough, even if he asks for $1,000, he will not agree. He leaned back in his chair and was buying recipes. Since half of the restaurant's shares are owned by him, from now on, he will have to get dim sum too. The first thing that needs to be done is to improve Li Amin's cooking skills, and the second is the recipe. A restaurant must have a few signature dishes that can be picked up to attract customers to patronize. Chen Zan only used a plate of egg fried rice to attract so many people, and it is also on the hot search. The small logo was also attracted by the egg fried rice, and even cried directly. This series of things has made the egg fried rice become unknown to everyone. The premise for egg fried rice to burst into flames is because it is delicious. But just a plate of fried rice with eggs, too little, not enough. Therefore, Chen Zan bought 10 more recipes in one go, and they were all very unusual recipes. They belong to the kind of dishes that could be selected as a signature dish. He doesn't expect Li Amin to make these dishes to the point of tears, but as long as he can make 70% of the dishes on the recipe, it is enough to make this restaurant famous. Uncle Li. Chen Zan looked at Li Amin, who had just put away the contract, and said, "Let's add some dishes to the menu." "How many dishes to add?" Li Amin asked. "What kind of dishes?" Chen Zan grabbed the pen and paper, and wrote the name of a dish. The camera was pointed, and everyone saw it clearly. Winter melon cup, lion head, mullet egg soup, boiled cabbage, Vance tofu, Buddha jumps over the wall. It looks normal from the front, but what are the things in the back? This menu written by Brother Chen. Why do you become more familiar with it? This horse is a state banquet menu. The front is quite normal, and the back has risen directly to the height of the state banquet. I am not convinced by the wall, so I will take Brother Chen. Wang Dao was also blindfolded. He didn't understand why Chen Zan suddenly remembered to upgrade the menu. Just got 50% of the shares, low-key development is king. This is the state banquet menu. Li Lang said suddenly. Ma Jingyao frowned. Does he know how to cook these dishes? Impossible. Li Lang shook his head. His cooking skills are indeed very good, but the dishes that can be served at a state banquet are not ordinary. Even the chefs of many 5-star hotels can't make them. I also think Brother Chen's wave is a bit too big. More than a dozen dishes. Except for a few home-cooked dishes, the others are all dishes for state banquets. Wait for Brother Chen to make these dishes. Few people in the live broadcast room believed Chen Zan could do it. Li Amin looked a little dumbfounded. Xiao Chen, do you know all these dishes? Very simple. Chen Zan completely lost his previous modesty. After all, this store also has his share now. You should show it when you should show confidence. Otherwise, how can Li Amin feel relieved? Li Amin asked, Xiao Chen, what are the prices for these dishes? Chen Zan thought for a while, and said, boiling cabbage, 1 lion head, 1 cup of Buddha jumping over the wall 888, 1 cup of winter melon cup 1888. As his price was reported, netizens were taken aback. All go, a piece of boiled cabbage. It's a special grab for money, right? It's too expensive, not kind. Nonsense, this is a state banquet dish, it's really not expensive. Even if it's a state banquet dish, it's boiled cabbage. Winter melon cup 1888. This price scares me. Li Amin was also taken aback. Xiao Chen, is this price too high? The most expensive dishes in their family are more than 100, and no one orders them at all. Chen Zan's more than a dozen dishes, except for a few home-cooked dishes, all cost more than 300 to 400, and the winter melon cup rushed for 2,000 yuan. Expensive. Chen Zan smiled. It's not expensive at all. First of all, these dishes are signatures of major cuisines. Secondly, the process of making these dishes is quite complicated. Even experienced chefs would not dare to try these dishes easily. Looking at the whole country, there are not a few restaurants, and those who dare to pack a ticket say that they can make all of these dishes. A restaurant that can make 1 or 2 of the dishes is already a great thing. The production process of these dishes alone is worth the price. Especially the winter melon cup. This dish has extremely high requirements for cooking, and even higher requirements for carving. It takes at least half a day for an average chef to carve a winter melon cup, so the price of 1888 is really not expensive at all. Of course, people who understand naturally understand that the price is not high, and if you don't understand, you just invite him to eat for free, and others are not necessarily interested. What about the peas? Li Amin looked at the dish written by Chen Zan. The name of the dish was so strange that he had never heard of it. Chen Zan thought for a moment, and said, 2,888. How much? Li Amin almost stared out. My little restaurant can even have dishes with prices over 4 digits. This rounded up is close to 3,000 yuan. 2,888, not expensive. Chen Zan said lightly. Waterma, Brother Chen must be crazy. I just want to know, what kind of dish is inlaid bean curd? I have never heard of it. I thought the winter melon cup was the king's fried, but I didn't expect that the bean curd was the king. Wang Dao also stunned. Inlaid bean curd, what kind of dish is this? How can the price be so expensive? Li Lang shook his head. I haven't heard of it. Others also shook their heads. They are not professional chefs, let alone gourmets. This kind of unfamiliar dish name is normal if I have never heard of it. Where is this angelfish? 3688. Quote. Li Amin clutched his heart hard, and was hit by Chen Zhan's crit again and again, and he almost couldn't bear it. He is just an ordinary small restaurant. With such horrible prices, is it to drive those customers outside? Netizens are also completely speechless. In their opinion, this price is simply arbitrary. Chen Zhan disagrees. A store must have a few signature dishes that can be picked up so that it can be remembered. What's more, many of the signature dishes he set prices are only available at state banquets. Whether it is the production process or the taste, Chen Zhan can confidently say that as long as he makes it, it is absolutely top-notch. Such dishes are sold at this price, which is very reasonable. Chen Zhan stood up and said, I'll go to the vegetable market to buy some food to prepare. If someone orders, but doesn't prepare food, it would be embarrassing. And many of these dishes require broth. Especially boiled cabbage, you can't make it without the broth. I'll go with you. After Li Amin wrote down the price, he followed him. As for this menu, after Chen Zhan announced the price, it was posted on the internet as soon as possible, which caused a lot of heated discussion. Restaurant surprises the sky-high price menu. What kind of fish is this horse riding? 3688. Are you crazy? Does treat people as fools? What kind of dish is stuffed bean curd? Winter melon cup 1888. With this money, how many winter melon can I buy? Brother Chen is a good cook, but when it comes to running a restaurant, it's still a lot worse. Seriously, at this price, it's impossible for anyone to go. Wang Dao said. The price set by Chen Zhan for these dishes is indeed a bit embarrassing. Ma Jingyao said. Yes, it's embarrassing. People who don't need money won't go to such a small store. Very few people who go to such a small store will spend such a big price. People spend thousands of dollars to eat. What they eat is the environment, what they eat is the brand, and what they eat is the style. Who will come to the fly restaurant on your side of the road and spend thousands of dollars to eat? No one will say that you have taste when it spreads out, but they will only think that you are sick. But regardless of whether Chen Zhan's price is high or low, the heat and discussion are rising. Now the whole network is discussing, and many internet celebrities have noticed that this is a good opportunity to catch up on the heat. Not long after Chen Zhan and Li Amin left, the hotel phone rang. Zhang Quilin connected. Li's private kitchen. Oh, do you order food? Okay. How many people? When will you come? What? Do you want to order the new dishes today? The words of the other party made Zhang Quilin stunned. Chen Zhan just added the new dish today. Does the other party want to order now? Also, something is more expensive. Angelfish, stuffed bean curd, pumpkin cup. Thousands of dishes, just order it, without hesitation. Is this crazy? Moreover, in order to alleviate Zhang Quilin's concerns, the other party also specially asked her Alipay account to transfer a 5,000 yuan deposit in advance. Looking at the 5,000 yuan in the account, Zhang Quilin knew that the other party was not joking. Everyone in the program group watched this scene, and they were also a little surprised. Wang Dao said, someone really ordered these new dishes. Li Lang smiled and said, now that Chen Zhan can't pick it up, this is also a test for him. In fact, they know very well in their hearts that 7 or 8 of the people who order food are internet celebrities, and it is estimated that they are deliberately enthusiastic. How rich is it? A meal is a few thousand yuan, so you can just order it. Obviously, I'm here to catch the heat. You can get such a big exposure for a few thousand yuan, and everyone is willing to change it. The small logo only spent $10 in the morning, and it was on a hot search, and it was almost a profit. Netizens are not stupid either. After a brief surprise, they immediately guessed that the other party spent so much money on ordering, just because of the enthusiasm. Zhang Quilin contacted Li Amin immediately and told him about the incident. Li Amin was also confused when he learned about it, and then told Chen Zhan. Chen Zhan asked, come tonight? Yes, tonight. Okay, then pick it up. Can you make it? No problem. Chen Zhan smiled faintly. Since he dared to sell these dishes, he was confident that he could make them. Although some dishes are very complicated to prepare, it is difficult for the average chef. But that is difficult for the average chef. For him, there is no difficulty. And he also knew that he had just brought out a new dish, and someone ordered it. Obviously it was intentional. At this time, he can't refuse. Once he refuses, it will make people doubt. Can you make these dishes? In other words, are your dishes worth the price? Li Amin and his wife are a little worried. But for Chen Zan, the timing of this online celebrity order is just right. He made these signature dishes for everyone to see, which is also an excellent opportunity for publicity for the restaurant. If you doze off, someone will give you a pillow. Chen Zan smiled, also speeding up the purchase. Half an hour later, he and Li Amin returned to the restaurant with big and small bags of ingredients. After returning, the first thing Chen Zan did was to make soup. In general big restaurants, the chef will specially boil a pot of stock for cooking. Especially for cuisines like Shandong cuisine, Cantonese cuisine, and Tangia cuisine, wherever water needs to be added to the cooking, the dishes must be more delicious and fragrant. Li Amin watched Chen Zan dealing with the old hen, and asked, "Xiao Chen, is this going to make soup?" "Yeah," Chen Zan said. "First prepare a pot of broth." Broth. For Li Amin, this is a little far away. In a small restaurant like his, the dishes basically don't need broth to season. It can be seasoned with broth, which are very particular dishes. Chen Zan threw 2 old hens into a barrel-shaped pot. No chicken is not fresh, no duck is not fragrant, no skin is not thick, no belly is not white. There is also a difference between broth, generally divided into milk soup and clear soup. There are 2 types. I boil milk soup. Uncle Li, look carefully at how I boil. The order in which the ingredients are put in, and the heat of the soup are all important. If you want to improve your cooking skills in a short time, soup stock is undoubtedly a shortcut. When Li Amin heard this, he immediately stared attentively. Wipe, Brother Chen is really professional. I can't understand a word of what he said. There is a saying that ordinary people can't make broth. Even if you give the same ingredients, you can't make the same soup. This thing is the most test of experience. Now I am looking forward to the dishes ordered by the guests at the evening table, which cost almost 10,000 yuan. I feel that it is not as good as a bowl of egg fried rice. While stewing the stock, Chen Zan is also preparing the dishes ordered by the guests at the evening table. He added 18 new dishes in total, and the other party ordered all of them. Among the 18 dishes, the most complicated one is Buddha jumping the wall. To make a perfect Buddha jump over the wall, a pot of soup is indispensable. There is no stock, everything is forbidden to talk about. In addition to the Buddha jumping over the wall, there are several other dishes, all of which need to be blended with broth. Xiao Chen, with so many dishes, are you busy alone? No problem. Chen Zan smiled, took the bean sprouts from the basket, and said, "It's still early, I will prepare the dishes first." He started to clean the bean sprouts. Wang Dao looked at Chen Zan, who was confident, and smiled. I am a little looking forward to his performance in the evening now. As for the dishes he added, none of them are simple. If they don't do it well, they will smash their signatures. Ma Jingyao said, "If I were him, I would never modify the menu, just let the flow go, it's actually very good." Several people nodded in agreement. After all, the prices of these dishes are too high and are seriously inconsistent with the restaurant's positioning. In this case, it is bound to make everyone have extremely high expectations for these sky-high prices. With such expectations, the taste requirements for these dishes will reach a very abnormal height. If Chen Zan does not do a good job at all, he will be criticized extremely harshly. In the past 3 days, with the dazzling show of Chen Zan, this restaurant also has a great reputation on the internet. At this time, it is the best choice to operate in a step-by-step manner in accordance with the original method. Chen Zan's act of modifying the menu and adding high-priced dishes, in their opinion, is very unwise and completely unnecessary. Of course, if Chen Zan can hand in a perfect answer tonight, then everything will be different. But in the eyes of Wang Dao and these observers, this possibility is unlikely. Chen Zan had already washed the bean sprouts and put them in the basket without serving them on the plate. Instead, he took a piece of chicken and threw it on the chopping board, grabbed it with his right hand, and grabbed the handle of the knife. Hearing the sound of da da da, the kitchen knife turned into cold light in his hand, and the chicken on the chopping board was cut into minced meat. Li Amin was amazed when he saw it. Chen Zhan's swordsmanship was so wonderful and breathtaking. What kind of dishes does Brother Chen have to cook? Bean sprouts, fried pork? No, this seems to be minced pork. Wang Dao swept around a few observers, thinking that he should hire a chef, or else he would encounter such a scene, and there would be no one who could explain it. Chen Zhan quickly cut the mussels and piled them on the plate. Li Amin asked, Xiao Chen, what kind of dish is this going to be? Chen Zhan said, stuffed doo-doo. Yang Do Zhu. Li Amin asked, what kind of dish is this? Chen Zhan smiled mysteriously, I'll find out in a while. Although this dish is not a state banquet dish, it is no less than a state banquet dish in terms of its deliciousness and technical difficulty. This dish belongs to Confucian cuisine, and not many people know it, and even if it is a descendant of Confucian cuisine, it may not be possible to make it. Li Amin looked at the base that had just been bought and kept in the tank, and asked, Xiao Chen, do you want to kill this fish? Don't kill first, wait until the guests arrive, then kill. Oh, I wash this winter melon first. No, we will wash after the guests come later. Where's the sea cucumber? Don't worry about these. Oh, Li Amin was a little nervous. He used to be in the back kitchen and he did all the work, but now he has nothing to do. In the huge kitchen, he suddenly felt that he was superfluous. Moreover, Chen Zhan has no one he can help, so don't mention it too anxiously. Chen Zhan did not deliberately refuse to let him help, but he can do it all by himself. Regardless of the amount of food, he is enough alone. Moreover, there is nothing to pay attention to in the preparation of the dishes in the early stage. In this way, working until 5:30, Zhang Quilin walked in and said, Lao Li, the guests are here and we can serve food. Okay, Lao Li replied. Chen Zhan also heard it, and immediately went to the boiler. First, let's make a small stir-fry. In addition to these hard dishes, this internet celebrity also ordered some ordinary stir-fried dishes, such as twice-cooked pork, Jinling double smell, mapo tofu and the like. Chen Zhan started a fire, poured water, grabbed a piece of pork belly and threw it on the cutting board, patted the table with his right hand, and the kitchen knife was hit back into the air. With a pop, grabbing the handle of the knife, a few cold lights flashed, and the pork belly was cut into chunks. Then, with a stroke against the cutting board, these pieces of meat were thrown into the pot of boiling water. After closing the lid, Chen Zhan opened the second pot. After opening the pot, pour the oil, and when the oil temperature rises, immediately add the bean paste, Chaoshan pepper. Soon, the pot became a bright red appearance. This is Chen Zhan adjusting the red oil base material. The most important thing about mapo tofu is the base material. The quality of the base material directly determines the quality of this dish. And the taste of mapo tofu is basically different in each place. Some places are numb, some are spicy, and some are salty. Chen Zhan's cooking is methodical, as if everything has been arranged in his mind. With the experience of a god-level chef, Chen Zhan does not feel the slightest tension, but he can do it well, as if everything is under control. At this time, in the lobby of the hotel, there were two young men, one man and one woman, sitting on the largest table by the window. The female is responsible for shooting, and the male is responsible for eating. The man is over 185 meters tall and weighs at least 200 kgs. He is very fat and fat. This man is an internet celebrity who mainly eats and broadcasts. His name is Dawei Wang and he has a lot of fans on the internet. After he learned that the little logo had come, he regretted not being the first to catch the heat. So after learning that Chen Zhan had a new dish, he called immediately and ordered all the dishes, which immediately caught the heat. I have come to this restaurant. As you can see, the decoration of this restaurant is actually very mediocre, the kind of fly restaurants that can be seen everywhere on the roadside. Facing the camera, Dawei Wang introduced the restaurant. I ordered 18 dishes today, which adds up to nearly 10,000 yuan. This is the most expensive meal I have ever eaten. As for whether these dishes are worth it, the price, wait for the dishes to come up later, I want to taste it, and give you a reference. He is also one of the top internet celebrities in the food and broadcasting world, and there are more than 1 million online in the live broadcast room at the moment. And he never accepts top-ups. If it tastes good, he will give a good review, and if it is not good, he will give a bad review, and it is well founded. It is with this fairness that he can attract so many fans in a short time. 10,000 yuan, so proud. Have you finished eating so many dishes? The Fly restaurant actually has more than 3,000 pieces of dishes. I feel that this restaurant is insulting my IQ. People clearly mark the price. Why did they insult your IQ? They forced you to order. The Big Stomach King is also going to catch the heat, speechless. In the live broadcast room of the program group, the barrage is also very lively at the moment. Oh, why does this big fat man look so familiar? This is the Big Stomach King, the one with more fans. The most incomprehensible thing is eating and broadcasting. What's so good about it? Since Brother Chen has gone viral, this restaurant hasn't had a life. There was a small logo in the morning, and a Big Stomach King in the evening. At this moment, Zhang Quilin suddenly walked out of the kitchen carrying a dish. She went to the table of the Big Stomach King, put the dishes down and said, "This is twice cooked pork, please use it slowly." Dui Wang immediately retracted his gaze and looked at the plate of twice cooked pork in front of him. This plate of twice cooked pork looks very beautiful. The green peppers are cut to the same size and the pork belly is about the same thickness. This ensures that they will be heated evenly when they are stir-fried. Although Dui Wang is a foodie anchor, his ability to appreciate food is also one of the best. Suck. After taking a strong breath, Dui Wang couldn't help swallowing his saliva. It smells good, let's not talk about it, let me taste it first. He set up a piece of meat and stuffed it into his mouth, then he set up another piece of pepper. This looks really okay, I look a little hungry. I'm hungry too. Brother Chen's cooking skills are as good as ever. Although I can't eat Buddha jumping the wall and angelfish, I can still afford this twice cooked pork. Fatty, don't eat it, and quickly talk about the taste. Dui Wang has forgotten to comment, and is eating it all the time. After he put down his chopsticks, he later realized that a plate of twice cooked pork had been eaten up by him alone. The woman was also dumbfounded, her eyelids twitched. Why did you eat it all? I haven't eaten it yet. The king of Big Stomach was a little embarrassed and said, "It's so delicious, I ate it without knowing it, cough cough, the food in this restaurant tastes really good. I have eaten it all over the country in the past few years, but it tastes so good. It's the first time I have eaten the real twice cooked pork." He hurriedly moved to the comment section, with a serious expression on his face. The pork belly is fat but not greasy, the spicy flavor of the pepper is not so strong, and it blends in with the deliciousness of the meat just right. Stop talking, I don't need you to say that I know it's delicious. Paralysis, you ate it all. It's so delicious. Brother Chen is Brother Chen, this cooking skill is simply amazing. I always thought Brother Chen could only make egg fried rice, but I was short-sighted. Wang Dao also secretly swallowed. Chen Zan's cooking skills have always been maintained at a fairly high level. It seems that it is more difficult to overturn the car. Li Lang gave a hum. At this time, the live broadcast showed the mapo tofu made by Chen Zan. This dish is even more exciting than twice cooked pork. Several observers all watched and swallowed, wishing to order one at the restaurant now. Uncle Li, Chen Zan yelled softly, and Li Amen immediately brought the dish. After Chen Zan stir-fried a few times in the pot, the tender tofu has fully absorbed the juice flavor of the base material. He grabbed the ear of the pot with one hand and lifted it easily. The iron spoon was scooped in the pot, and the soup and juice were evenly dropped into the plate. Then I picked up a little green onion and sprinkled it lightly to decorate it. Serve. Chen Zan finished speaking, and then proceeded to the next dish. Zhang Quilin brought mapo tofu to the table. Dui Wang sucked her nose, and her eyes couldn't move away. Fragrant, spicy fragrance. This taste is really tempting. He scooped a spoon, blew it, and put it in his mouth. Suddenly, the extreme spicy bloomed in the mouth. Delicious, delicious, so delicious. The Big Stomach King has poor words, and I don't know how to describe it. He only knows that no matter who it is now, there is no way to stop him from continuing to taste this plate of mapo tofu. Fatty, calm down. There are more than a dozen dishes in the back. Why do you eat so much now? Can you still eat later? No, look hungry. Already blocked. Brother Chen is really so good at cooking. This fat guy didn't come for a show, right? Acting. Big Stomach King never accepts recharge. You said he looks ugly and there is nothing wrong with him, but if you say he is acting, then I have to spray you. It's not like. After all, even a small logo can eat and cry. It doesn't seem strange that this fat man eats like this. The Big Stomach King didn't finish it in the end. It's not that he couldn't eat, but that he remembered that he ordered 18 dishes today. Now only 2 home-cooked dishes are so delicious. How delicious are the next 16 dishes? If you eat early and full now, how can you still taste the delicacy in the back? Forbearance, I must hold back. Dawei Wang tried his best not to watch these dishes. There are so many dishes behind, I have to hold back. Big Stomach King, if you can't finish eating, I'll help you eat it. I want to eat too, I want to eat too much. I don't believe it is so delicious, unless you give me a bite. The King of Stomach glanced at the bullet screen and said, if you have friends nearby, you can come over now. I will take this meal for free. Otherwise, I can't eat so much by myself. Really, if you don't need money, I really went there. I'm nearby, less than 5 kilometers. No kidding, you treat me, I will go now. Dawei Wang said, you come here, I will ask you as much as you want. Okay, wait, I'll be there soon. Give me 10 minutes. Come here, several netizens responded immediately. 10 minutes later, a few young people walked in and walked directly to this table. Big Stomach King asked, did you watch the live broadcast? Right, we're here to make a meal. Several young people are also very relaxed. Dawei Wang said, come on, sit down. Just then, the third dish was on the table. Jinling double smell. Zhang Quilin briefly introduced, and then left. Several people took a breath at the same time, and their faces suddenly showed a particularly enjoyable expression. The King of Stomach picked up a bowl and spoon, served a little to everyone, and introduced, this is a famous dish in Jinling. Shuangshu refers to stinky tofu and fatty intestines. It smells stinky, but it has a special fragrance. I have eaten this dish in many restaurants, but I can do it well, not many. Before I came here, I actually didn't expect much, but after eating the first 2 dishes, really, I now think Chen Zan is a god. Dawei Wang's words are full of admiration. The twice-cooked pork and mapo tofu he makes are more authentic than the most authentic Sichuan cuisine. Even the top chefs of Sichuan cuisine can't do this level. Come on, everyone tastes it. Dawei Wang grabbed the bowl and ate a piece of stinky tofu. The rich sauce and the perfect fusion of fatty intestines and stinky tofu made his whole soul seem to float out. Several other people have similar feelings. But it will be more intuitive in the eyes of netizens. They only saw a few people, the Big Stomach King, after taking a bite, followed by another bite, until they ate up the tofu intestines in the bowl, they stopped. I believe it, the dishes cooked by Brother Chen are really delicious. Tomorrow I have to eat everything in Brother Chen's shop. Brother Chen is the biggest obstacle to my weight loss. Several people ate this pot of fat intestines cleanly, and the King of the Stomach said with a touch of his mouth, it is hard to imagine that someone can be proficient in Sichuan cuisine and Sioux cuisine at the same time, and can achieve the ultimate in both. I dare say that Brother Chen's cooking skills are absolutely qualified to be the chef of a 5-star hotel. From today, I will be Chen's brainless blow. Dawei Wang said with an exaggerated expression to the camera. Big Stomach has a large number of fans, and today's live broadcast is surprisingly good. Moreover, these dishes are indeed separated from the screen, which makes people have an urge to drool. After all, the effect of appetite plus 10 is not a blow. These live footages were also posted on Weibo and attracted the attention of many people. In Chen Zan's live broadcast at the moment, the online data is rising steadily, reaching 6 million at one time. The official live broadcast room of the program group has 15 million online. In addition, Wang Dao and others stayed in Chen Zan's live broadcast room most of the time, which led to the increasing popularity and attention of Chen Zan. The gap between other challengers and him is also being pulled wider and wider. This is no way. After all, among the 100 challengers, Chen Zan is the most popular and the most interesting. Don't look at who he looks at. And there are many chefs who are watching Chen Zan live. Originally, these chefs were just pure curiosity, because 20 people in this show chose chefs, so they paid attention. But with constant attention, they discovered that Chen Zan, a young man, has an amazing standard in cooking. Especially these dishes today. Mapo tofu, jinling double smell, twice cooked pork. A few simple home-cooked dishes, from knife skills to stir-frying skills, Chen Zan showed vividly and vividly. Especially the control of the heat. Even through the screen, they can feel that Chen Zan's control of each dish has reached the point of perfection. Even if it is for them, I dare not say that they can cook better than Chen Zan on these dishes. The broth is ready. Chen Zan opened the lid of the pot, and a puff of white air rushed into his face. The rich fragrance made people linger. Chen Zan glanced at Li Amin, then at the camera, and said, "The home cooking is almost done, and the dishes to be made next are all difficult to make." Chapter 31. Chen Zan knows that to achieve the best results in live broadcasting, it is to interact with netizens. At first he was not used to it. After all, speaking to the air was a bit embarrassing. But this kind of thing, just be familiar with it. First of all, the Buddha jumped over the wall. He grabbed the prepared sea cucumbers, fresh abalones, etc., and said, "Buddha jumped over the wall," also called fushoquan. It is a top-quality national banquet dish. The most important thing about this dish is the broth and old wine. Now the broth is ready. Now, just prepare the side dishes, put them in the pot and simmer for 2 hours. The difficulty of the Buddha jumping over the wall mainly lies in the broth. The broth is boiled, and the rest can be done according to the normal procedure. Chen Zan put the side dishes into the pot one by one, then scooped a spoonful of thick broth and simmered over high heat. While the stewed Buddha jumped over the wall, Chen Zan came to the water tank again and fished out the perch inside. This perch is used to make angelfish. What kind of dish is angelfish? Have never heard of this dish. Listening to the name, it feels like tan jiakai. Huge kitchen, is it the angelfish in Hunan cuisine? Li Amin asked what the netizens wanted to ask. Xiao Chen, what kind of dish is angelfish? After all, he is just an ordinary chef, and he always cooks home-cooked dishes when he opens a restaurant, and he doesn't cook dishes that are too difficult. Not to mention, this kind of dish that 90% of people have never heard of. Chen Zan said, "The angelfish is a very famous dish in Hunan cuisine, but it's hard to eat in Hunan restaurants now." Why? Because the procedure is too complicated. Chen Zan threw the clean sea bass on the cutting board and said, "The most important part of angelfish is the soup base, followed by the fish. This dish, to put it simply, is to hang a fish on top of a pot of broth, and then cover the pot. Simmer for 4 hours, steam the fish through the steam of the chicken broth, and cook it bit by bit. Drop into the chicken broth until there is only one skeleton and root bones left in the whole fish, and this angelfish is considered ready." Everyone was baffled. Hang the fish on the chicken soup. Use the steam of chicken broth to steam it. Is there such a practice? Don't talk about it, just listen. They all find this method extremely difficult. I'm from Hunan, I haven't heard of this dish. I have never heard of. Is this really Hunan food? Isn't it Chen Jie ridiculed? Is this dish really as famous as Brother Chen said? For Mao, I have never seen it in a restaurant. Yeah, I have never heard of it either. Panda Kitchen, because of this dish, it has been lost. Lost? Can the dish still be lost? Don't be funny, our Daxia culture is broad and profound, and there is no lost. Pang Da Cook, it is indeed lost. I once heard the teacher say about this dish. I tried to make it myself, but no matter how I did it, I couldn't make it. If you can't do it, it's because of your poor cooking skills. Panda Kitchen, not good at cooking. Hee, although I am not a state banquet chef, I have also served as a chef in a 3 Michelin-starred restaurant, and now I am also the head chef of a Chinese restaurant in 2 5-star hotels. Is this a big guy? Big chef. Couldn't the boss be the Pantone chef of the Greenland Hotel? Pang Tong. This name is so familiar. Last year in the foreign chef exchange competition, the big guy who won the first place. It turned out to be him. Panda Kitchen, well, it's me. Dare to ask the boss, what's the cooking skill of Brother Chen? Huge kitchen, very high. Compared to me, it's not worse than me. Brother Chen. When the boss said so, I immediately knew how much Brother Chen hangs. Originally, they could only roughly judge Chen Zan's cooking skills based on customer feedback. Now that Peng Tong said so, they immediately had a clear understanding. Chen Zan took the broth out and placed it in a casserole. After the soup is prepared, we must start preparing the fish. There are 2 main steps in processing fish. Chen Zan took out a cotton thread, caught the fish in his left hand, and pinched the cotton thread in his right hand. The first step is to fix this cotton thread on the spine of the fish. He flicked his finger and saw this tiny cotton thread passing through the fish's mouth and all the way into the fish's belly. Next, Chen Zan grabbed a prepared embroidery needle from a plate on the side. Gently slid a finger on the fish's back, and finally touched it on the top of the fish's back, saying, "The position of this thread is also very particular. Don't get too close, it's easy to make the spine during the steaming process. Fracture. It can't be too far away. If it is far away, this fish can't hang vertically in the pot. So it must be the sixth section of the fish's spine, which is here." When the words fell, he lightly tapped his finger on the fish's back, pierced the fish's back in the embroidery in his hand, and picked it again. A cotton thread was picked from the back of the fish. This hand directly made everyone look at it. Is this luck? How did you know that the cotton thread is in this place? Magic. This horse riding is magic. The cotton thread passes through the mouth of the fish, and from the back of the fish. The specific position of the cotton thread is not known at all, at most it is a rough idea. But Chen Zan pinched the embroidery needle and stabbed it at random, but it was like confirming that the cotton thread was in that position. Hurry and be ruthless. After the cotton thread was passed through, Chen Zan fixed it on the spine of the fish. After the first step is completed, it is the second step. This step is relatively simple. The main thing is to cut the fish. Put the hob on the fish. The main purpose of this is to open the fish completely. Then, during the steaming process, the umami flavor of the chicken broth can be evenly spread throughout the fish. He grabbed the kitchen knife, and only heard the swish sound constantly ringing, and the cold light flickered in his hand. After more than 10 seconds before and after, he suddenly closed the knife. Grasping the cotton thread with one hand and lifting it upwards, the perch is lifted in the air, and the flesh of the fish is blooming like a flower. The whole fish is almost like a piece of art. Each piece of fish is of the same size, and the sections are scaled to each other, and there is a unique sense of rhythm. Chen Zan looked at the fish in his hand with satisfaction, and said, "After the hob, when the fish is steamed, the fish will fall into the soup piece by piece, without affecting the spine of the fish. Many people cook this dish, and the place where it is most likely to fail is here. When the fish meat falls into the soup, the bones of the fish will also break. Once the spine is broken, the fish bone will also fall into the soup. In that way, this dish is considered ruined. Little master, I rewarded 1 rocket and left a message, Chen Gesho. Someone on the human rewarded 10 rockets and left a message, this is a work of art. Pang Da Kitchen rewarded 10 rockets and left a message, Mr. Chen, please make this angelfish, thank you. This dish is just a preparatory part, but it has already caused a huge disturbance in the live broadcast room. The rewards are like rain, and they keep coming. Especially Pang Tong, his whole emotions are a bit agitated. When he saw Chen Zan fix the cotton thread on the fish spine in such a relaxed way, when he saw Chen Zan operating the fish, he was sure that Chen Zan would really make this angelfish. He can really make this Hunan dish that has been lost. Excited, Pang Tong dialed a call for the first time. Hey, Uncle Wu, someone has made an angelfish. What? Hearing this, Uncle Wu quickly asked, who did it? Where? Pang Tong said the matter immediately, and after listening to it, Uncle Wu said, you send it to me, I'll take a look. Good. After hanging up the phone, Pang Tong immediately sent the video connection. Uncle Wu, named Wu Zhou, is the on-duty chairman of the Hunan Chefs Association. At the same time, he also contracted the kitchens of more than a dozen Hunan restaurants. For the research on Hunan cuisine, he ranked second, and no one dared to be the first. Hunan cuisine, which is one of the 8 major cuisines, has many well-known dishes. Chopped pepper fish head, spicy chicken, flavored snake. But for the Hunan cuisine chefs, angelfish is a dish they will never get around. Almost every Hunan cuisine chef has tried to restore this dish in the past. However, no one knows the specific methods of angelfish. As Pang Tong said, this dish has actually been lost. With only some information they know, it is difficult to restore. And now, Chen Zan has made it. This is why Pantone is so excited. If Chen Zan can really make angelfish, it means that their Hunan cuisine will also have a top-notch dish in terms of technology and taste. Even in the face of the most famous dishes of the other major cuisines, you can never give up. A cuisine must not only have home-cooked dishes that come into the homes of ordinary people. There must also be a treasure of the town that can be handed out and won the big table. Fujian cuisine has Buddha jumping over the wall, Sichuan cuisine has boiled cabbage, Zhejiang cuisine has longjing shrimp and donpo meat, and Sioux cuisine has wensi tofu, squirrel mandarin fish. Every cuisine has high-end dishes. But only Hunan cuisine, no. It cannot be said that there is no, but it is lost. This situation is normal. There are many lost dishes in other cuisines, but even if they are lost, there are other dishes that people can pick up. However, the best Hunan cuisine is the angelfish, but it is also the dish that has been lost. Angelfish, it is indeed an angelfish. Watching Chen Zhan's live broadcast, Wu Zhou was very excited. Although this dish of angelfish has not been made yet, Wu Zhou has determined that this dish will not go wrong. From Chen Zhan's skillful movements, it can be seen that he is no stranger to this dish. He immediately dialed Pang Tong's phone. Xiao Pang, buy the recipe for this dish. Uncle Wu, you must buy it, no matter how much it costs, you must buy it. Hunan cuisine has special feelings for Wu Zhou, and it has an irreplaceable position in his heart. His grandfather is a chef of Hunan cuisine. In his early years, he was the head of Hunan Yipantang, and he was one of the heads of state banquets for 5 consecutive years. His father is also a Hunan cuisine chef. Although he did not serve as the head of the state banquet, his status in the entire chef industry is also quite high. In Wu Zhou, he has been dealing with Hunan cuisine since he was a child, and under the influence of his grandfather and father, he has an emotion for Hunan cuisine that is difficult to describe in words. He once heard his grandfather talk about angelfish. When he was the head of the state banquet in his early years, he searched for this dish in Hunan province, hoping to make this dish shine again at the state banquet. Unfortunately, Grandpa has never been able to find it. This dish has a pivotal position in Hunan cuisine, and now no one can make it. And today, he saw it, he found a man who mastered the recipe for angelfish. Therefore, no matter what the price is, he must buy it. He wants to make this dish, in this era, regain its brilliance. At this time, Chen Zhan has dressed the sea bass and hung it on the pot. The thick broth is under the fish. He put the lid on the pot, and when he was about to continue cooking the next dish, a barrage that made people look away suddenly floated in the live broadcast room. Pang Da Kitchen rewarded 100 Buddhas jumping over the wall, and left a message. Mr. Chen, Hunan Cuisine Association is willing to buy fairy fish recipes at a price of 1 million. On the Cat Live broadcast platform, if the gift amount exceeds 100,000 yuan, it will appear on the entire platform and all users can see it. But generally no one would give such a large gift. However, someone sent it out today. 1 Buddha jumping over the wall is 1,000 yuan, and 100 is 100,000 yuan. This gift announcement appeared directly on the screens of all users, like a banner, slowly drifting past. The live broadcast room was quiet for 2 seconds. In the next second, the entire live broadcast room exploded in an instant. 100 Buddhas jumped over the wall, 100,000 yuan. Is the huge guy so rich? Give 100,000 yuan if you give it away. 100,000 for a recipe. Tyrant, please be a friend. Envy crying. Did you make a profit as a chef? I came here very much, wondering what happened. Come here with admiration. If you don't understand, just ask, is this fairy fish made by Brother Chen worth so much money? Panda Kitchen, this dish is of great significance to our Hunan cuisine. Wang Dao and others were also frightened by Peng Tong's magnanimity. 100,000 yuan, just give it away. Are all chefs so rich now? And 100,000 yuan is just an appetizer, the main course is still to come. People are willing to pay 1 million, just to buy him a dish. They don't understand the Big Brother's world. The news that Peng Tong bought a recipe for millions of dollars quickly spread. On the internet, all major video apps are rapidly spreading. The number of people online in the live broadcast room has skyrocketed at a speed visible to the naked eye. At the same time, Beijing, a high-end community within the Third Ring Road. In the living room, an elderly man was playing games with his granddaughter, and the mobile phone placed aside suddenly rang. He picked up the phone. Hey, old Lu, a big event just happened. What's the big thing is not big, what's the matter is okay. It's okay to hang up, I will play with my granddaughter. Hey, don't hang up, it's really a big deal. The man didn't dare to sell it, and quickly explained the matter. After listening, Mr. Liu said in surprise, someone made the angelfish. You didn't blame me, right? How dare I tell you, it's really done, and Chairman Wu asked Peng Tong to directly bid 1 million to buy the recipe for angelfish. Oh, old Wu is really willing. Lu Lao slapped his lips, but if this is really an angelfish, that 1 million is also worth it. After all, they are responsible for the facade of Hunan cuisine. Yes, so didn't I just tell you the first time? What do you think of the boys' live broadcast room? Tell me about it. The two chatted for a few minutes. After hanging up, Mr. Liu clicked on the link sent by the other party and entered Chen Zhan's live broadcast room. It just so happens that Chen Zhan is cooking a new dish. Old Liu stared at the new dish in Chen Zhan's hand for 10 seconds, but he didn't see what Chen Zhan was doing. The plate in front of Chen Zhan was full of bean sprouts. This dish is stuffed bean curd. He squeezed a bean sprout, shook it in front of the camera, then pinched the head and tail, and threw it into an empty plate. A plate of mung bean sprouts. Brother Chen's name is unique. All right, a plate of mung bean sprouts sells for 2,888, so Brother Chen, you dare to do this. The king of stomach was slaughtered today. There is no way to kill it, after all, the price is clearly marked. Li Amin asked, just this bean sprout? Bean sprouts are the main ingredient, and they will have to be paired with minced chicken and ham later. The speed in Chen Zhan's hand was very fast. A plate of bean sprouts was in his hand for 2 or 3 minutes, and it was all pinched clean. He took the pinched bean sprouts, came to the pot, scooped a few spoonfuls of water, and burned it on fire. This dish is a famous dish in Confucian cuisine. It was handed down by Emperor Qianlong at that time. It is not eaten by ordinary people, nor can ordinary chefs make it. Because this dish is too particular, and it takes a lot of effort. Just such a dish usually requires 2 people, and it takes an hour to make it well. While explaining, Chen Zhan stared at the water in the pot, and saw the water blistering at the bottom of the pot, and said, take the good mung bean sprouts, chop off the head and tail, and make it into a pinch dish. Then put it in the shrimp head water, blanch the inside and drain. Shrimp eye water is like this, the water is slightly boiled, and small bubbles rise slowly from the bottom of the pot, just like the eyes of a shrimp. As he said, he poured a plate of bean sprouts into the water, quickly stir-fried a few times, then picked it up, and shook it vigorously to drain it. This dish is very particular. How come I don't believe it so much? A plate of fried bean sprouts, I was flabbergasted by Brother Chen. Emperor Qianlong is so pitiful. Eating a plate of bean sprouts is a world-famous taste. I just want to know, a plate of fried bean sprouts, how handicapped people can do it in 1 hour. Unlike these netizens, Mr. Liu raised his eyebrows when he heard Chen Zhan say the name, Yongdo Jiao. Stuffed beans, could it be that dish? Old Liu's lips were a little dry, and the hand holding the phone was slightly trembling. As the chef of the state banquet, there is no one he can't know how to cook the 8 major cuisines and the full-scale dishes of Manchu and Han Chinese. But there are some dishes he really doesn't, such as angelfish. For another example, this stuffed bean curd in front of us. Because these dishes are famous dishes that have been lost. Some people don't even know what stuffed bean curd is. In some celebrity classics, you can occasionally see the shadow of these dishes, but the method of making them has long been lost. Unexpectedly, today I was able to see 2 lost famous dishes in the hands of this young man at the same time. After Chen Zhan drained the bean sprouts, he brought a bowl of water and a toothpick. At the time, Lafayette 6C loved this stuffed bean curd. I said this dish is exquisite, but I'm not talking about it casually. Chen Zhan smiled, holding the bean sprouts in his left hand and the toothpick in his right hand, and said, the thin bamboo sticks must be soaked in salt water first, in order to borrow some flavor and make them smoother. Then, carefully move the toothpick from the middle of the bean sprouts. Go through and let the bean sprouts become empty in the middle. When the bean sprouts are empty, then stuff the very finely chopped ham into the heart of the bean sprouts. How thin is the ham? As thin as hair. Which piece of ham is used? Take the top and steam it with honey. A pound of bean sprouts is enough to use 2 or 2 hams. As for how to make it, it is also very particular. The ancients used the bamboo skewers and shredded ham to pass through the bean sprouts, and then only the bamboo skewers were pulled out, and the shredded ham was stuffed into the bean sprouts. There is another kind of shredded ham with minced chicken, poked directly into the bean sprout's heart. This trick requires sharp eyes and steady hands. When the minced chicken and ham are stuffed in, then stir-fry this plate of bean sprouts in clear oil. This stuffed bean curd is finished. This dish is too tossing, so even Galleries Lafayette couldn't eat it often. The people of Confucius Mansion in Shandong Province set up a yamen for this dish, called Thepinch Bean Sprouts Bureau. The people in the bureau, regardless of other things, specialize in serving mung bean sprouts, and gave it a particularly elegant name. It's called duchu. What is it? It's a slim grass stem. As Chen Zan explained, he jabbed his toothpicks very quickly. Mung bean sprouts are not much thicker than toothpicks. If you don't pay attention to your hands, you can damage the bean sprouts. This kind of delicate work, in his hands, is simply unbelievable. After hearing his explanation, everyone was dumbfounded. Yang Do Yu, is this done? I'm cracked. Who came up with such a perverted dish? Brother Chen, I was wrong, 2,888, it is simply a price of conscience. Just like this one dish, let alone 2,080, I don't think there is anything wrong with 28. I don't have much culture, I will send you a sentence. The bean sprouts are so thin. Give me a magnifying glass, I can't even poke in. Chen Zan spent 10 minutes on a plate of bean sprouts, and he was all poked. And this is just foreplay, the main show has just begun. In the lobby of the hotel, there are a few people who are not anxious. They are also watching Chen Zan in the live broadcast room. First, they were amazed when they learned of the angelfish's practice. At this moment, they learned about the method and origin of this stuffed bean curd, and they admired it even more. At this moment, they stared attentively, for fear of missing a detail. Chen Zan put the prepared minced chicken aside and fetched the honey-steamed ham. Ha! Grabbing the handle of the knife, Chen Zan said, this ham must be cut thin enough, thinner than hair. This requires sufficient skill in the knife, without more than 10 years of experience, that is why you don't want to cut such a ham. It was very difficult for him to say, but he did not hesitate to raise the knife in his hand. Everyone wondered how thin the ham, which was thinner than the hair, was. Soon, they knew. Ha! Chen Zan didn't even look at it, and cut it straight down. Then squeeze it with his hand and place it in front of the camera to show it. The cameraman focused the lens on his finger. Everyone could see clearly, on his finger, there was a red ham that was as thin as a hair. If the lens is not high definition enough, it may not be visible. This horse was cut with a knife. Kneel to Brother Chen. Brother Chen, smoke a man. I suspect that Brother Chen is humble. This sword skill will never be achieved in more than 10 years. Anyway, when I was learning to cook, those chefs who had worked for more than 20 years couldn't cut such shreds of ham. Quote. Chen Zan shook the shredded ham in his hand. It's almost enough to cut it so thin. He put down the shredded ham and continued cutting. Da. The kitchen knife is in hand, like a phantom. The skill of the knife quickly cut this piece of ham into a pile of shreds. The camera shot up, and everyone could see clearly. Almost every shredded ham has the same thickness. It is difficult to distinguish the difference with the naked eye, even if it is measured with a ruler, the difference cannot be measured. The side dishes are all ready. The last step is to dip the shredded ham into the minced chicken and stuff it into the bean sprouts. Chen Zan left bean sprouts in his left hand and shredded ham in his right hand, rolled in the minced chicken and poked into the bean sprouts. This step is the most difficult. The bean sprouts are just so thick. The shredded ham with minced chicken is not much thinner than the bean sprouts. It is very difficult to stuff them in and requires a lot of patience. However, this kind of labor-consuming work is very easy in Chen Zan's hands. He almost didn't need to aim. The hand holding the shredded ham was sent forward, and it steadily plunged into the bean sprouts. Then all he needs to do is to keep repeating this behavior. And this kind of prudent work is also a moment of admiration for everyone watching. I rewarded 10 Buddhas who jumped over the wall and left a message. Mr. Chen, this recipe for stuffed beans, my father Lu Yuan is willing to bid for 1 million. At this moment, a big reward floated by. Everyone looked dizzy. Another big boss who buys recipes at sky-high prices. First of all, the big boss of Hunan cuisine scolded millions for buying angelfish recipes. Now there are big guys who are looking for millions of yuan to buy stuffed bean curd. It is difficult for netizens to understand. In their opinion, this is just a dish. They also admit that these two dishes are very technically difficult. But no matter how difficult it is still a dish after all. 1 million, the price obviously exceeds the actual value of the dish. And this is obviously not acting. There are really such two people who are willing to spend money to buy. This makes them even more difficult to understand. Are all the local tyrants so local now? Wang Dao swallowed, watching the crazy skyrocketing data in the live broadcast room, and exclaimed, "These dishes seem very unusual." Li Lang nodded in agreement. These two dishes may not be worth 1 million, but these people are willing to pay the price, and they can see that these two dishes are indeed extraordinary. Some people felt that Chen Zan was overpriced. After all, it's a fly restaurant, but the price is several thousand yuan. But now, everyone doesn't think so anymore. Regardless of Chen Zan's introduction, the production process of these dishes. In the live broadcast room, the people who paid a lot of money for the recipes on the spot let everyone understand that these dishes are worth the price. Lu Yuan, this name sounds familiar. Little head, is this the old man Lu Yuan from Beijing? Isn't it the master chef of the state banquet? Macho, my father did serve as the chef of state banquets, but he has retired. I'm a fan. I'm really a state banquet boss. I remember this old man Lu, who was interviewed by CCTV back then. The cooking skills are superb, and many foreign guests come to visit, and the old man Lu is invited to take the lead personally. The CCTV interview said that Mr. Lu was proficient in the 8 major cuisines, and he could make a full-fledged full feast of Chinese cuisines by himself. He is a true god of cooking. This old man turned out to kneel down. Pang Da Kitchen, is Mrs. Lu also watching the show? Monkey Man, well, my father was very excited when he saw Mr. Chen's dish. He said that this dish is the pinnacle of Shandong cuisine. Uncle Yan also called just now, hoping that my father will buy the recipe for this dish. Pang Da Kitchen, is it Mr. Yan Jingxiang? Macho, yes. This Yan Jingxiang, wouldn't he be the big man of Lu cuisine? Worry, or all gangster level figures. I remember Brother Chen said that this dish is a Confucian cuisine. What's the matter with Guan Lu cuisine? Stupid. Confucian cuisine is Shandong cuisine. Lu Yuan's identity made the atmosphere in the live broadcast room suddenly reach the high dynasty. However, Chen Zan still can't see anything and is still focusing on cooking. In about 20 minutes, a plate of bean sprouts was filled with ham and minced chicken. After preparing the vegetables, the next step is to clean the oil and stir fry. Heat up the pan with a spoonful of oil. When the oil temperature rises, stir fry a few ginger stalks until fragrant, and then pour a plate of bean sprouts directly into it. Hold down the ear and spoon of the pot. The bean sprouts are tumbling in the pot and evenly heated. This dish has very high requirements for heat, so you must pay attention to it when you stir fry. The bean sprouts can be out of the pot after a little yellowing. Chen Zan said in a serious tone. Li Amin nodded and looked at the bean sprouts in the pot seriously. From the moment the bean sprouts enter the pot, Chen Zan's spoofing movement has never stopped. Stirring and frying can ensure the tender and crisp taste of bean sprouts, but it also tests the chef's foundation. Soon, the bean sprouts in the pot turned slightly yellow. Chen Zan immediately turned off the heat. The bean sprouts were turned into the air, the iron spoon was picked up, and then gently sent, and it fell on the top of the porcelain plate. With the gentle shaking of the wrist, the bean sprouts slowly fell from the spoon into the dish. Porcelain white plates, tender and crisp bean sprouts, red ham with hollow bean sprouts, red and white complement each other. There is no need for too much embellishment, just the ingredients of the dish itself, stacked at will, is a perfect plate. Li Amin was amazed when he watched it aside. This dish is simply a work of art. Uncle, send it. Hey, good. Li Amin picked up the plate and moved very carefully, for fear of spilling 1 or 2 bean sprouts on the plate. After all, this dish is 2,888. It's simply a sky-high price. Art, riding a horse is art. The first time I found out, the dishes can still be made so beautiful. It feels like a jadeite. The dishes made by Brother Chen don't care whether they taste good or not, but they really don't have a choice. Whether it is an ordinary dish like fried rice with eggs, which can be found in the streets and alleys, or a high-end dish like stuffed bean curd, Chen Zhan's hands make it, and the appearance of this dish will make the people's tongue grow fluid. As soon as the screen turned, the screen switched to Li Aiman's side. Li Aiman came to the hall with vegetables. Zhang Qilan took it, and put on the table. The big stomach kings have already seen Chen Zhan's performance on their mobile phones. Really, in their opinion, Chen Zhan is not cooking, this is acting. A visually top enjoyment. Even if this dish tastes mediocre, Big Stomach Wang feels that his trip is worthwhile. The production process of this dish alone is worth the price. And didn't you see it? The big guy at the state banquet has to spend 1 million to buy it. What does this show? It means that apart from Chen Zhan, there is no other person who can cook this dish. In other words, I am the first person to taste this dish. The big stomach king swelled at that time. Stuffed bean curd, please use it slowly. Zhang Qilan smiled and reported the name of the dish, and stood by without going far. She was a little nervous in her heart. After all, it was a dish that cost nearly 3,000 yuan a plate. She wanted to know whether this dish could satisfy the customers. Come, eat. The big stomach king greeted, grabbed the chopsticks, and clamped one. Then, under the eyes of tens of millions of netizens, it was sent into the mouth. In the next second, Dewey Wang closed his eyes, only seeing the movements of his mouth chewing and the rich expressions on his face. He seemed to have lost his language ability for a while. Not only him, but the other fans who came to Sengfan also performed exactly the same. It took dozens of seconds before Dewey Wang opened his eyes and stared at the dish brightly. This is the first time I have tasted this kind of taste. This dish of bean sprouts has an unprecedented freshness and ham. The mild sweetness and the soft waxy of the minced chicken make the whole dish even more subtle. It's delicious. It has a layered flavor. For the first time, I discovered that bean sprouts can show such a rich flavor. Several other people nodded vigorously, and while he was talking, they started to sweep through. The king of stomach also wanted to comment a few words, and looked down, save me some. This evening, Weibo is destined to belong to Chen Zhan. When Chen Zhan rushed to the hot search for the first time, he was out of control. Have you ever seen a hot search with a dish? 6 of the original hot searches were Chen Zhan. And now, there are already 8. An angelfish rushed to the hot search. Stuffed bean curd followed closely, and also rushed to the hot search. Chen Zhan just relied on his culinary skills to dominate the entire network. As a result, such a hot search finally appeared on the hot search. Chen Zhan, who is below this hot search, a group of people popularize science, which also allows more people to learn about Chen Zhan. And Chen Zhan, at this time, is cooking the next dish. Lion head. It takes 60% fat and 40% lean to make lion head meat. Chop into mashed meat, add green onions, ginger, and eggs to make fist-sized meatballs, which can be steamed or braised in brown sauce, fat but not greasy. This dish is actually very simple and can be made at home, but it is still a bit difficult to make it well. Chen Zhan put a fat and thin piece of pork on a cutting board, finely chopped it, and then cut out the afterimage with a knife. There are 2 things that lion heads need to pay attention to. One is that the meat is important. If you want to be tight, you have to work hard on the sword. Now people use meat grinders for convenience. The minced meat is really shredded, but it's not strong enough. If you want to be strong, you have to use the dumbest way, which is to chop with a knife. This is similar to making beef balls in Guangdong. The strength of beef balls depends on the skill of the knife. This is purely physical work, and it also represents the seriousness of this dish. Chen Zhan grabbed a knife again. With both knives in his hands, the shadow of the knives continued. In the entire kitchen, there was only the clattering sound made by the constant contact between the blade and the cutting board. Li Aiman watched seriously, marveling at the speed of Chen Zhan's sword in his heart. If it were him, there would be no way to make a knife so quickly. I see the afterimage, the legendary, the combination of man and knife. The sense of substitution is very strong, and my hands are already moving. Brother Chen's arm strength is absolutely terrifying. If he is so cut, his hands will become sore after a while. Nonsense, Brother Chen is not physically strong enough to move such a big pot. On the other side, Lu Yuan, the head of the state banquet, kept making phone calls. Call Master Lu Kai and tell him that he has found Yang Dozu. Call other people and ask them to contact Chen Zan for themselves. Pengtong and Wuzhou, far away in Hunan province, are doing the same thing at this moment. They are also looking for Chen Zan's contact information. And the appearance of these two big brothers also caused a shock in the entire cook world. Many well-known chefs from all over the world came to the live broadcast room at this moment, curious to know, what is the ability of the young man who can make Lu Yuan, the chef of the state banquet, spend a lot of money on buying. At this moment, Chen Zan's every move is in the eyes of these professional chefs. Seeing Chen Zan's sword skills, they nodded secretly. This sword skill is really professional. You know, nowadays, after serving as the head chef of a restaurant, the knife skills are generally somewhat lagging behind. Because they are more focused on the pursuit of a dish, and the preparation part is basically prepared by other people. And all they need to do is to cook. And like Chen Zan, it is very rare to be able to maintain a high level of control over the heat and taste in the process of cooking, but also to maintain the level of non-reduction in knife skills. What makes them admire even more is that Chen Zan is still so young. They can almost imagine that if Chen Zan devoted himself to the profession of chefs, he would surely be able to occupy a place in the chef industry for at most 5 years. However, they didn't know that this so-called sword skill was nothing at all. When he chopped the meat, adjusted the taste, made it into a lion head and put it in the pot, he immediately took another piece of lactone tofu. This square-shaped lactone tofu was dragged in his palm. Daxia, known as a paradise for food, this is not to brag. If you talk about food, I dare say that, the food of all countries in the world together, it is not as good as our great summer. And many of Daxia's delicacies test sword skills, but there is only one dish that tests sword skills the most. Speaking of this, Chen Zan pointed to the tofu in his hand, that's it. The lens gave this piece of lactone tofu a close-up. After watching it for a long time, everyone didn't see any difference in this piece of tofu. This dish is Vance tofu. Chen Zan introduced. Vance tofu began in the Qing dynasty and has a history of more than 300 years. It was created by the monk Wenci at Tianning Temple in Yangzhou, so it is called Vance tofu. This dish is simple, but also difficult. It is simple because it only requires winter bamboo shoots, chicken breast, ham, and shiitake mushrooms. It is difficult because this dish has almost abnormal requirements for knife skills. Quote, he gently placed this piece of tofu on the cutting board, grabbed a clean kitchen knife, and said, Vance tofu is the dish that requires the highest knife skills among the 8 major cuisines. A piece of tofu is cut into about 15,000 pieces. Tofu shreds, and the broken shreds cannot exceed 10%. The length of each tofu shreds is 5 centimeters, and the thickness is about 0.3 millimeters. If you can make Vance tofu well, you are qualified to say that your own knife skills are a good start. NS. Everyone was dumbfounded at hearing, just cut out more than 10,000 strands of this slap-sized piece of tofu. The chefs who watched the show, the corners of their mouths twitched frantically. Is Vance tofu good enough to be an introductory sword skill? How high are your requirements for sword skills? They suddenly felt that the chefs who have been cooking for more than 10 years or even decades are not enough in front of Chen Zan. But they couldn't refute anything yet. Because if you really let them go, they really can't cut it. After the introduction, Chen Zan's left hand was lightly attached to the tofu, and the kitchen knife in his right hand had already fallen. The camera is staring at the tofu and the knife. Every time Chen Zan drops the knife, in the eyes of everyone, the tofu seems to be unchanged. Just by relying on their naked eyes, there is no way to see that tofu has changed under the knife. Chen Zan did not go to see the tofu during the whole process, and the kitchen knife bloomed at an extremely terrifying speed under his hand. About 10 minutes later, Chen Zan stopped the kitchen knife in his hand. However, under the lens, this piece of tofu is no different from 10 minutes ago. It feels as if this piece of tofu has never changed. The kitchen knife was attached to the cutting board, and with a quick stroke, the piece of tofu was scooped up and stuck to the blade. Afterwards, Chen Zan gently put the tofu into a bowl full of water. As soon as the tofu entered the water, the whole piece of tofu turned into hair-like tofu, rippling in the clear water. In the live broadcast room, the barrage disappeared for a while. And this group of chefs from all over the country are also amazed. Worry, worry, worry. Is this the legendary sword skill? This tofu, I feel like it melts in the mouth. To be honest, this dish, even if it's just watching this sword art performance, I think the money is worth it. I am a Yangzhou native, saying that I have never eaten this dish cover my face. I haven't eaten it, and I haven't seen any store that has this dish. Many Yangzhou chefs who watched the show were a little embarrassed to watch these barrage. Vance tofu is a classic in Wyang cuisine, but it is true that you rarely see this dish in restaurants. Very simple, because this dish is so difficult. There are almost abnormal requirements for knife skills. It takes dozens of minutes to cut tofu, so almost no restaurant will reflect this dish on the menu. At the same time, the lion head is also ready. Chen Zan almost opened the lid of the pot with a pinch of a second, put the braised lion head into the dish, and simply set the plate to let Zhang Quilin give it away. Then, put the prepared Vance tofu into the pot for final processing. For the next half an hour, Chen Zan turned on full fire and cooked most of the remaining dishes. At this time, only the last few dishes were left. Buddha jumped over the wall, boiled cabbage, winter melon cup, angelfish. The Buddha jumps over the wall and is still stewing. This dish is time-consuming, but not difficult. Just wait. Almost. After finishing the last dish, Chen Zan moved his nose slightly and looked at the simmering angelfish. This dish, too, he said lightly, walked over, and opened the lid of the pot under the gaze of everyone's expectation. The lid of the pot was lifted, and a burst of white steam rushed in. Accompanied by it is the scent that makes the throat roll. The taste of chicken broth mixed with fish is hard to describe in words. When the fog dissipated, everyone clearly saw that a complete fish skeleton was hung above the pot. On the skeleton, there is not a trace of fish left, and it is clean. Chen Zan smiled at this dish is perfect. He took out the fish skeleton and put it aside, and served out the fish soup. The creamy white thick fish soup does not require any addition, it is an outstanding perfect angelfish. My saliva has been running for 2 hours. Help, why should I watch this show in the middle of the night? This is a ghostly social observation program. This is really Brother Chen's food special. Netizens complained, watching Chen Zan cooking is both enjoyment and torture. Don't talk about them, even those professional chefs, all of them grumble in their stomachs. Even Wu Zhou and Lu Yuan and others are the same. They were originally excited about these two recipes, but after looking at them, they discovered that this young man's cooking skills were no worse than his own. They compared them in their hearts and found that if they replaced themselves with Chen Zan, they would not dare to say that they could perform at this level. At this time, Chen Zan took out a few tender Chinese cabbage and said, "This dish is called boiled cabbage, and it is a very classic dish at a state banquet. Just listen to the name of the dish, it is estimated that no one can guess, this is a Sichuan dish." Quote, although the name of the dish is boiled cabbage, don't think it is simple. This dish is not only not simple, but it can be said to be difficult. In Daxia, no more than 100 people can make a boiled cabbage. A Chinese cabbage, is it so difficult? I really don't understand that boiled cabbage for Mao can become a national banquet dish. Don't understand it, because the name of this dish is so misleading. It's not boiling water at all. It's hard to make anyway. Brother Chen said the same thing. There are 100 people in the country who can make it. I feel too much. The boiling water of this dish is the broth, but the broth has to be made into boiling water. Think about it. You have to keep the list of boiling water and retain the rich fragrance of the broth. This is not something that everyone can do. Quote, many professional chefs leave messages in the live broadcast room. Chen Zan said, boiled cabbage, the most important thing is the broth. It needs thick soup as the base, but the thick soup has to be made into a clear soup, which looks like light boiled water. The method is also simple. Chop the chicken breasts until they are velvety, put them into the broth, and after repeated adsorption 2 or 3 times, the slightly turbid broth will be as clear as boiling water, with a strong mellow fragrance, not greasy, and refreshing. He put the chopped minced meat in, and everyone saw that the original thick broth had gradually become light and mysterious. The soup base is adjusted, and then it's the main cabbage. He grabbed the Chinese cabbage, peeled off the outer leaves, took out the cabbage and put it directly into the pot. The cabbage should choose the unripe Chinese cabbage as the raw material. Use only the tender heart that has turned yellow in the middle, blanch it slightly and rinse with water. After removing the fishy dishes, pour it in the stock until it is boiled. Skim the broth of the blanched cabbage, and then pour in the fresh stock, this way boiling cabbage, even if it is done. Following Chen Zhan's introduction, a boiled cabbage was completed. The soup base is as clear as boiling water, and the yellow cabbage heart looks like ordinary ingredients. If I hadn't watched Chen Zhan's cooking process, it would be impossible to imagine that this dish was actually made in this way. To be on the state banquet menu, there are really 2 brushes. For the first time, I felt that I couldn't eat Chinese cabbage. Puff, me too. This Chinese cabbage is in Brother Chen's hands, and its value has skyrocketed, covering his face. Zhang Quilin took the boiled cabbage out, went to the hall, and put it on the table. The big stomach kings can't wait a long time. They all thought that Chen Zhan's more difficult dishes were superficial, but the taste was mediocre. But when they entered the door, they found out, where is it like this? These dishes are not only difficult to make, but their tastes are also explosive. Van's tofu is tender and smooth, melts in the mouth, the taste is rich, and it is quite refreshing, so they can't help but bite after bite. Angelfish is the best fish soup they have ever eaten. The fish and broth could blend so perfectly, which they didn't expect. Before Chen Zhan made boiled cabbage, their knowledge of boiled cabbage was limited to the name of the dish. I really thought it was boiled cabbage. But after reading it, I realized that this dish turned out to be such a thing. I have to say, I have a long experience. Come, eat. The king of stomach greeted him, but there was no need for him to greet him. Originally, these fans were somewhat reserved, but since they tasted Chen Zhan's dishes, the reservedness in their hearts has long been lost. What is reserved? Tasting food is the most important thing. After taking a bite, several people suddenly felt that their pores all over their bodies were relaxed. The crispy taste of the cabbage heart and the rich aroma of the broth are not greasy. Under the perfect combination, it is so delicious. Worry, don't watch it. Gone, it's so tempting to see what Dewey Wong eats. At first I thought that Big Stomach was a fool for spending so much money. It turned out that the fool was myself crying. When I get rich, I must go to some boiled cabbage. At this time, Chen Zhan has only the last 2 dishes left. The Buddha jumped over the wall and cupped with winter melon. Chen Zhan grabbed a wax gourd and washed its surface. Then it split it with a knife, leaving a small cylinder-like shape. Then, he grabbed a narrow carving knife and said, "The winter melon dish, the most test is the carver. This dish is beyond the scope of ordinary dishes. Winter melon is both an ingredient and a utensil. Many restaurants have this dish, but most people are sloppy, carving some simple fancy styles, or writing a few words directly on the wax gourd and it's over. The real winter melon cup must be determined according to the needs of the guests. If it is a birthday party, then 100 flowers will bloom. If it is a housewarming, then the dragon and the phoenix will be in the townhouse. If it is an ordinary gathering, then you can play freely." Chen Zhan introduced the wax gourd with one hand while holding the carving knife in his right hand, and carved the wax gourd like this. "If I go, Brother Chen will still carve winter melon. I haven't seen anyone carving this difficult batch for a long time. Nowadays chefs are basically carving a simple flower, which feels very perfunctory. If you give enough money, it will be more difficult for others to carve for you." Wang Dao looked at Chen Zhan directly and sculpted, and said in amazement, "He can still sculpt flowers." Li Lang said, "It looks like it really does." Concubine Lin looked at Chen Zhan with a pair of beautiful eyes. Serious men are the most attractive. At this moment, in her eyes, serious Chen Zhan has an indescribable charm. Chen Zhan carves very attentively. He only has winter melon in his eyes. The carving knife in his hand is like a soul, and the knife moves with his heart. What you think in your heart can be easily reflected on the wax gourd with this carving knife. This method of carving on ingredients is not easy. Even among the chefs, there are not many carvings. Firstly, few people go to practice this specifically, and secondly, this practice is not very useful. After all, the chef's job is to cook, and carving is optional. At this time, the cameraman can only take pictures of Chen Zhan's side, not from the front. I saw that the carving knife was in Chen Zhan's hand, sliding on the wax gourd. Or push or pull, or stab. Pieces of winter melon skin fell, or pieces of meat were dug out. Everyone was curious about what Chen Zhan was carving, but they couldn't see it, so they could only wait quietly. After waiting like this, 20 minutes passed quickly. Chen Zhan took the last knife and drew it down, and a piece of winter melon skin fell on the table. Chen Zhan's expression was also somewhat relaxed. He smiled lightly and put the carving knife down. It's done. He put down the wax gourd. The cameraman immediately turned around and photographed the front of the wax gourd so that everyone could see clearly. When the winter melon appeared in front of the camera, the tens of millions of netizens in the live broadcast room were surprised to see it, and even forgot to post the barrage. I saw that on the wax gourd that was only 30 centimeters high, there were 3 undulating mountains embossed, behind which was covered by clouds. And on the mountain is a dragon winding up. This dragon has dragon scales on top of each other. The dragon head rises from the mountain to the sky, and the dragon tail hides under the mountain. Like a dragon in the abyss, it will rise to the sky. Although it is only carved on a small winter melon, it makes people feel lifelike, like a real dragon alive, which is quite shocking. Dewey Wong looked at the embossed dragon shape on the winter melon in the live broadcast room, stared and muttered to himself, "I'm riding a horse. I feel that this winter melon cup, I can't afford it." Chen Zhan's price for the winter melon cup is 1888. When the price first came out, everyone felt that it was a sky-high price. But now, the winter melon cup has just been half-cooked, and everyone immediately felt that this dish was cheaper in 1888. It's so cheap. Where is winter melon? Isn't it a work of art? Apply a layer of gold paint on it, and then make it old. You can directly take it to the antique market to pretend to be an antique. Not to mention, Chen Zhan's carvings are so delicate. It took less than 20 minutes to carve such a lifelike dragon. If they hadn't been staring at Chen Zhan all the way, they would find it hard to believe that this was carved out on the spot. "Coach, I want to learn this." "Coach, you want to learn coins?" "Brother Chen's hand is a hand, my hand." "No, where do I have a hand?" In front of Brother Chen, I'm terribly disabled crying. "I have a bold idea. Can you drive even this special?" "But, I actually have this idea, cover my face." Other people's plaiting is plaiting, and Chen Zhan's plaiting is really art. What's more, the carving on the wax gourd cup should not be flawed. If something goes wrong, the whole wax gourd will be scrapped and must be replaced with a new one. The cost of winter melon and time alone makes many restaurants reluctant to put this dish on the menu. Wang Dao nodded in admiration. Chen Zhan's carving skills are truly breathtaking. I have also been to many restaurants, including many Michelin 3-star restaurants, and have tasted some excellent dishes. Compared with Chen Zhan's winter melon cup, the difference is too far. Ma Jingyao is also the case. Quite amazed. To see Chen Zhan cutting vegetables, cooking, or carving flowers at the moment, it is a very enjoyable process for them. Seeing such a perfect dish like a work of art, slowly presented in front of them, it made them feel like a witness. Chen Zhan put the winter melon cup down, rinsed with water, then put the ingredients in it, and then steamed it in a pot. At this point, all the dishes have come to an end. Half an hour later, the winter melon cup is out of the pot. At the same time, the Buddha jumped over the wall. Chen Zhan scooped it up, poured it into a small casserole, grabbed the carrot, and cut it down, and a carrot flower was carved out. Set aside as an ornament to add a touch of elegance to this dish. Zhang Quilin brought out these 2 dishes. Chen Zhan said, "The last dish is also ready, but I don't know, so many dishes, can these guests finish eating? After all, 18 dishes. If there are only 7 or 8 people, it really may not be able to finish the meal." However, he didn't know that there weren't even 7 or 8 people, and there were only 5 people in total. However, even though there are only 5 people, the combat effectiveness is a strong group. Basically, a dish is served and it is wiped out in minutes. Can't finish it. Hee, you probably don't know that Big Stomach King is a pig. Brother Chen, you worry too much. Don't talk about 18 dishes, it's just one dish. They all finished eating. The main thing is to see who made this dish, it doesn't really matter if you change the individual. They just watched. Less than 10 minutes after the last 2 dishes were served, they were divided up cleanly by this group of people. In the end, the Big Stomach King took the winter melon cup down. This is so artistic. 1888, I feel I have made a lot of money. This winter melon, I have to take it back in a while, wash it and put it at home. It's so beautiful. Several other people looked at him with grievances, and they also liked this winter melon. But after all, he was invited to dinner, and then grabbing winter melon with him, it was a bit unreasonable. The Big Stomach King put the winter melon aside and started the final comment section. To be honest, before I came here today, I really didn't have much hope. Although the small restaurant can also have delicious food, the probability is really too small. If it weren't for the recent popularity of this restaurant, I would really not come. Furthermore, a fly restaurant priced $2,000 or $3,000 for a dish. I thought it was a pit of money at the time. But now, I don't think so. The king of Big Stomach turned his words, his tone was serious and serious. Brother Chen's food, this is it. He gave a thumbs up. It's amazing. I can be considered to have eaten all over the country, but I have to discuss the taste of the dishes. I really haven't eaten it like this. And it's not that a single dish is delicious, it's that every dish is delicious, whether it's a home-cooked dish or the following famous dishes, the taste is not bad. There are only 5 of us. Everyone can see the 18 dishes. With such a large portion, we ate it all. The king of Big Stomach boasted that it was eloquent. The king of Big Stomach has been conquered. It can't be carried by anyone, okay. 18 dishes, 5 people eat cleanly, this really can't be faked. The price is too expensive, otherwise I really want to taste the boiled cabbage. The high price is not Brother Chen's problem, it's your problem. Boss, pay. After the praise, Dewey Wong got up and went to pay. Zhang Quilin asked specifically, does the food still suit my appetite? Too much appetite, the king of Big Stomach praised. Brother Chen is really good at cooking, I will come to eat every day from now on. Upon hearing this, Zhang Quilin breathed a sigh of relief. This meal is almost 10,000 yuan. If the customer is not satisfied, it is tantamount to smashing the sign. Fortunately, the guests are very satisfied, and those who are satisfied can no longer be satisfied. In fact, she had noticed it early in the morning, and among other things, she could see the reflective plates on the table that were licked by their tongues. But I get a reply after inquiring, so I feel more at ease. On this side, Chen Zan is also leaning on a chair to rest. He glanced at the prestige value that had already been returned to 0, now there are several million. When he opened the live broadcast room, he realized that he was on the hot search again, and he still occupied a few of them. At this moment, a bright red barrage suddenly floated across the live broadcast room. 6E Maruko, I rewarded a Buddha jumping over the wall and left a message. Mr. Chen, are you interested in working at Intercontinental Jinling? If you want, you can skip the trial period and become the head chef of Shandong cuisine. How about Worry, Intercontinental Hotel? This Intercontinental seems to be the only 6-star hotel in Jinling City. I'm so sore, I'm taking shares and selling recipes. Now even job opportunities are offered to my door. What a bad show, it's labor management to watch. Sheridan Chinese Restaurant, I rewarded 10 Buddhas jumping over the wall and left a message. This restaurant is looking for Mr. Chen as the sous chef of the restaurant with an annual salary of 1 million. Wangzhong Pavilion, I rewarded 10 Buddhas who jumped over the wall and left a message. This restaurant is looking for Mr. Chen with an annual salary of 1 million. Yiping Pavilion, I rewarded 10 Buddhas who jumped off the wall and left a message. The invitation of 6E Maruko was like throwing a stone into a calm lake, and in an instant, a splash of water aroused. All of a sudden, the entire live broadcast room was swiped by gifts from various restaurants that kept popping up. All restaurants start with 1 million annual salary. This is simply rushing to give money. The netizens who watched it all had their hearts pumped, and they almost couldn't bear it. Millions of annual salary. If Chen Zan didn't think about it before changing it, he would definitely agree. But now, 1 million annual salary is nothing to him. To fix himself in an industry, Chen Zan would not do it. What's more, he has to rely on the show to reap the reputation value. Therefore, in the face of these sincerely hired hotels, Chen Zan politely declined, "Thank you for your approval, but cooking is just a hobby for me. Treating interest as a job will make me lose my interest in cooking." Quote, "Look, my brother Chen can talk. I'm crying, just a hobby can get 1 million annual salary, I'm only 3,000 yuan in a month when I work hard. Seeing Chen Zhan's refusal, the chefs of these hotels sighed softly. Chen Zhan is not very young, but his cooking skills are absolutely top-notch. Regardless of cooking skills, Chen Zhan's high popularity is also worth millions of annual salary. Unfortunately, he is not here. On the other side, in Hunan province, Pantong has drove to his home in Wuzhou. They have been looking for Chen Zhan's contact information, but they couldn't find it for a while. Therefore, they decided to go directly to Jinling and find Chen Zhan to buy this recipe in person. At the same time, they also contacted Lu Yuan in the capital. When he saw that Lu Yuan was going to buy a recipe, Pang Tong decided to ask Lu Yuan to go there with him. After the two parties agreed on the time, they immediately booked the ticket for the next day. However, Chen Zhan did not know this matter yet. When they gave gifts to buy recipes before, Chen Zhan was still cooking without paying too much attention. After a short rest in the back kitchen, some guests came one after another. It was so busy until more than 8 o'clock before it finally ended. Xiao Chen, you go to the lobby and sit and rest first. I will cook some dishes for you, and then leave after eating. The supper has become fixed, and Li Amin also learned a lot from Chen Zhan today, so he happened to try it too. By the way, Chen Zhan helped to comment one or two. Li Amin feels that at this moment, he is a bit like an apprentice who is just learning how to cook, with new gains and progress every day. Soon, the supper was ready, and Chen Zhan commented while eating. Li Amin has also been cooking for more than 20 years. He has a solid foundation and has a lot of his own experience in cooking. In many places, Chen Zhan said a little bit, and he knew where the problem was. After a meal, when Chen Zhan just got up to leave, the landline in the shop suddenly rang. Zhang Quilin went over to answer. Hey, sorry, the store is closed. That's it, wait, I'll ask. Zhang Quilin clutched the microphone and asked, Lao Li, there is a takeaway. From the hospital, do we still have food in the kitchen? There are vegetables, but not much, shredded potatoes, ribs. What kind of dishes do you want? Zhang Quilin repeated to the microphone, and the other side quickly said a few dishes. 1066 beds in the inpatient department, right? Lu Dahai. Okay, I'll send it to you when it's done. After hanging up the phone, Zhang Quilin said, spare rib soup, green pepper and potato shreds, red braised eggplant. Just as Li Amin was about to get up, Chen Zhan had already taken a step ahead of him. Uncle Li, sit down and I will do it. Don't do it. It's almost 9 o'clock. Go back and rest quickly. There will be no car anymore. It's okay, very fast. Chen Zhan smiled and walked directly to the kitchen. Uncle Li didn't know that Brother Chen went home on his legs. As long as you are not busy, you still have the opportunity to order takeaway. Brother Chen is really not arrogant or impetuous, he is so famous, he can cook for the takeout at the big evening himself, and he wants to change me. It is not an exaggeration to say that he loves who the hell is. It's too real covering my face, I don't bother to do it if I change it. Anyway, it's not bad for the money. The night host Wu Tongdao. Chen Zhan's mentality is very stable, and he has not become ecstatic because of the surge in his worth. The observer took a sip of the tea and said, it's really hard to find. It can also be seen that he doesn't seem to care about these material things very much, or that the proportion of materials in his heart is not high. Zhang Ting licked her small tongue and said, then, or we also order a supper. Wu Tong. Observer. Are you kidding me? Although this proposal is great, but, we're at work. On this side, Chen Zhan has prepared several dishes and put them in the packing box. He carried the packed vegetables and walked out. Aunt Zhang, is this the first hospital? Zhang Quilin said, give me the food, let Uncle Li deliver it, so don't go. Who will send it differently? I'll come, you and Uncle Li quickly pack up, I'll send it over in a while, and then go home by the way. Chen Zhan couldn't help but said, took the list with the address written on the cash register, and walked out. Xiao Chen, you ride the electric bike. Zhang Quilin shouted from behind, you can ride home directly at night. No, I can just run back and exercise. Chen Zhan waved his hand without turning his head, legs opened, and trot away. Seeing his leaving back, Zhang Quilin looked helpless. This kid is really, alas. Lee Amin smiled and walked over. The young man is energetic, which is really enviable. Okay, hurry up and pack up and rest. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.